Unfortunately, we now see that we're in a time whereby truth and falsehood is not only being mixed up in some circles, but falsehood is being ignored, and in some cases, falsehood is being okayed. We're at a time whereby that of Ali Muhammad and what they stood for is revered, but by those very same people, their enemies are also revered. We see circles even within our own madhab of AhlulBayt being revered and their enemies being and about their enemies being said, forgive them, or maybe Allah forgave them. It's critical that we don't confuse truthfulness and falsehood. They are polar opposites. You have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's word, which is divine. You have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's attributes, which the AhlulBayt perfectly manifest on this earth. And then you have their enemies. You have those who, if you oppose godly people, that they are satanic, that they hold satanic traits. Where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides us through the AhlulBayt to be generous, like Al-Hasan, you have stingy individuals. Where you have people who do not chase for power like Amir al-Mu'mineen, you have power-hungry individuals like Shimr, like Ubaydullah bin Ziyad. My dear brother says, it is absolutely important that we do not let go of what is truth and equally establish and identify what is falsehood and to discuss it in an eloquent Shi'i manner. Because the moment we start to blur the lines is the moment that when the Imam calls to us and says, join me in my mission, that we start to say, actually, I'm not sure I align with your mission. Because you're asking me to go against falsehood, and my entire life, I've been okay with falsehood. And this is a dangerous point that we are seeing become more and more apparent in the idea of being humanists, of being fair to everyone, and that this faith is not a faith of love, of hate. It's only a faith of love. This faith is absolutely a faith of love. But if you are absolutely on the path of truthfulness and 100% believe in it, you must be 100% against anything that isn't truthfulness. And if you believe that AhlulBayt alayhim salam stood for nothing but 100% truth and godliness, then anyone that stood against them must have been the polar opposite. We have a hadith from Imam al-Baqir salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi, where he's reported to have said, "Man sarrahu alla yakunu baynahu wa bayna Allah hijabun," that whosoever likes to have no veil between him and Allah, hatta yanzura ila Allah wa yanzura Allahu ilayh, such that he looks at Allah and Allah looks at him. What's the condition? فَلْيَتَوَلَّ آلِ مُحَمَّدٍ وَتَبَرَّأُ مِنْ عَدُوِّهِمْ, that he must express his love for the progeny of Muhammad and express his detachment from their enemies. وَيَأْتَمَّ بِالْإِمَامِ مِنْهُمْ فَإِنَّهُ إِذَا كَانَ كَذَلِكَ نَظَرَ اللَّهُ إِلَيْهِ وَنَظَرَ إِلَى اللَّهِ, and follow an imam from among them. For indeed, if this happens, Allah will look at him and he will look at Allah. And Allama Majlisi talks about this looking of Allah and obviously says this is far greater than just a normal look. This is alluding to a state of utmost kindness and mercy. We have hadith from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, where paraphrasing, he calls those individuals who call out for his love and the love of Ali Muhammad but do not distance from the enemies as liars. Why such a harsh tone is being taken by AhlulBayt here? Not because we're just emotionally in love with them, no. Rationally, intellectually and logically. If Allah is the truth, if Allah is perfection, if Allah is divine, and AhlulBayt represent Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this earth in the most perfect way, then anything that opposes them must be falsehood, and anything that is falsehood we must distance from. The challenge is whether you and I have the yaqeen within our hearts, the ability and the faith from the roots of our faith strong enough to be able to take such a stance. Because if we do, tell me, what would we say about those individuals? How would we address the examination of those individuals who would turn up to the door of Fatima and be told that this is Fatima alayha salam inside, and whilst they would carry firewood, would say, so what? If that is not a sign of an enemy of Ali Muhammad, then please tell me what is. Because if you say on Ashura, Shimr and Ibn Ziyad that they were enemies of Hussein because they went to kill him, tell me about the intention of these individuals as they approached the door of Fatima. We discuss it in an intellectual manner. Of course, it is emotional for us, but we take an intellectual approach in our discussion with adab, with courtesy, and with the ability to speak. How? Not by saying we love or hate A, B, and C, but by saying we side with truth and we oppose falsehood. And when we look into history, we see who was on the side of truth, and we cling to them so that we can change ourselves to have these divine traits as well. And we completely distance, separate, disassociate ourselves from any enemy of Ali Muhammad, for they are the enemies of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is why we revive these majalis, to reawaken us, to recalibrate what is right and what is wrong. But as we've said, the crying needs to graduate into understanding. The understanding can only be understanding intellectually if it comes with action, if it comes with movement, if it comes with change.